Heyo, we're doing a new episode of We Talk. Today, I want to talk about the Assassin's Creed series. Every game that has come out, how they've advanced, which one's my favorite, how I would rate them from 1, because there's 6 games, how I would range it from my least favorite to my most favorite. Alright, so I'm going to start in the way that each game has actually come out. Assassin's Creed 1 came out in 2007, and it actually was, at the time, when I saw it originally, it was a really, really unique gameplay where you're able to, climb up on the walls. It took free running and free roaming to a new level. It was also a game about killing people. The game's called Assassin's Creed. I felt like an assassin. It was more stealth-based. You know, you're trying to avoid contact with the guards so that your target doesn't run away and things like that. You're really trying to get into the crowd to get close to your guy, but you're also worried because there are guards walking around, and if the guards see you, they'll notice you, and then, hits the fan. It was really a fun game, especially how, there were multiple ways of going through a mission. There was one thing where you would actually be able to climb up on the roof, take out all the archers, so that when you actually do kill your target, you actually planned out an escape route. I thought that was really, really, really cool. The thing about Assassin's Creed 1 is that it was very linear, it was very repetitive, where you're going to go there, you're going to pickpocket, you're going to eavesdrop, you're going to try to intimidate this many people at the same time. You're going to be given assassin missions here and that nature. It's you do 3 of these missions, you'll unlock the main mission in your target, and then you go there and you would kill your target and everything like that. Or you have the option to do more, which means you'll probably find out more information. If you actually read, which I did because I played the game 12 times when it came out, you read the actual little letters that you can pickpocket off people, and some will actually tell you, oh, well, they are doing construction on some of the rooftops, and I forgot to bring to get down the scaffolding, so it's still up there. And then to me, it's well, I can use that to my advantage. The story of Assassin's Creed 1 was alright. I mean, it was there, and it kind of brought the game together. At the same time, though, I think that the present-day timeline was also a big surprise for me. I kind of expected it, because one of my friends, I was still in high school when this game came out. One of my friends told me that it was going back in time, which to me, I was well, that's weird. And then it actually sort of is going back in time, because you're reliving the memories of your ancestors. So you're living here, and now you're experiencing the way it actually was in the past. So, I mean, again, from the beginning, I didn't really like the present-day timeline. I thought it was there. I thought it was unique. I thought it was good for what it was, but it wasn't really necessary, and I still don't think it's that necessary. But Assassin's Creed 1 was the one that set the stage. I really, really liked Assassin's Creed 1. Even though now, looking back, I realize it may be one of my least favorites, but Assassin's Creed 1, not really that good as far as if you're playing through all the games in chronological order, Assassin's Creed 1 would actually be the one where you kind of grind through it. Just you do it, but you don't enjoy the path you're doing it with. You don't enjoy the experience. I mean, when you're actually doing the assassinations and you're going to actually kill the guys, that's fun. But actually going through and gathering all the information before you're allowed to do the final target is kind of, it gets old quick, because like I said, it gets repetitive. 2 years later, in 2009, Assassin's Creed 2 gets released, and it literally improves everything about Assassin's Creed 1. Mind you, I think, I forgot to mention this when I was talking about Assassin's Creed 1, but the combat is really easy. It's just wait for the guy to move, counter, wait for the guy to move, counter, wait for the guy to move, counter, wait for the guy to move, counter. And it's the same thing in Assassin's Creed 2. And it still kind of plagues the series even in every single game. I don't think the combat is something that's really strong. I think the animations to kill somebody are awesome, but I think that it's just so easy to fight. It's ridiculous. But Assassin's Creed 2 improves the stealth. You're able to hide with groups of people instead of waiting for that group of monks to come around. I think the free running was a lot better in the game. I thought the story was amazing. The character development of Ezio is absolutely amazing. Also, I think it was really cool to bring in a couple of new mechanics, such as, you can now use 2 blades, you have guns and things like that. There was more to do in Assassin's Creed 2 than there were to do in 1. I think the story was really improved, which, honestly, the main villain of the game is phenomenal. I think having a villain in a game is one of the big things about making a successful game. That's what made... I thought Borderlands 2 had a good villain with Handsome Jack. Or at least I've heard these things anyway. I think that Black Ops 2 was really brought together because of their main villain. I thought Halo 4 had a decent villain. All these villains actually really can make or break a game. And we're going to talk about this a lot when we continue throughout the story. But Assassin's Creed 2 had a fantastic villain. It had a fantastic build-up, and it had a fantastic ending. I really liked all the different things you can do in Assassin's Creed 2. Assassin's Creed 2 is one of my favorites of the series. It is absolutely amazing. But Ezio's story gets continued a year later, which was actually surprising to me. I actually thought it was DLC until I started looking more into it and found out it was actually its own standalone game. But Assassin's Creed Brotherhood was released in 2010, and this was actually a unique sort of different. It was basically Assassin's Creed 2, a shorter version of it, but it was Assassin's Creed 2, but it added in the ability to actually recruit assassins, to whistle, to call them in, to have them help you out when you're out doing missions, and also to send them out on little secondary missions, you know, that you don't see them, but they'll come back and then they'll get experience, and then they'll come back and you'll have like rewards and stuff. You're basically being the master assassin in this creed of assassins. You're actually building the Assassin's Creed, or not the Assassin's Creed, but you're building the Assassin's Order back to what it used to be. And I thought that was really cool. I thought it was an awesome mechanic, and it gets brought back in Revelations. But before we go over to Revelations, I thought the Brotherhood was good. Like, it kind of finished what Assassin's Creed 2 started. Like, there were some storylines in Assassin's Creed 2 that never really got wrapped up, and then in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, it wraps it up. But I think that the main villain of Assassin's Creed Brotherhood wasn't all that great. It wasn't anywhere close to the main villain in Assassin's Creed 2, but I mean, I think it was pretty good. I think Brotherhood was really fun. Like, I really like attacking those fortresses and actually retaking the entire city of Rome. I thought that was really fun. I felt like I was waging, one of these words are right. I felt like I was fighting my own little personal war with the Templars that are in Rome. I thought that was really cool. Brotherhood is probably one of my favorites because I do have fun with it. I mean, like I said, managing the whole city kind of gets old and tedious, but still pretty fun. I mean, it took a good game and it added the new mechanic, which was pretty cool. Revelations is essentially, I really can't think of anything new except for the hook blade in Revelations, which honestly, why was there a hook blade? I didn't really see the point of that. Revelations gets released a year later in 2011, and this game is the last game that's going to feature Ezio, but it also featured Altair. We're giving Altair a accent because having an American accent when you're in the Holy Lands, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. But I thought that was really cool to see like a return and seeing what happened with Altair, how his story ends, and what happened after the original Assassin's Creed game. I thought it was cool to see a wrap up to Ezio. I thought that was good. Honestly, don't remember the main villain of the game, so honestly, he wasn't that memorable. I only played through the game once, and it was everything Brotherhood. Like, it was, still had the assassins. Like, it was a brand new environment. I think that it was a cool environment, but the assassins were exactly the same as they were in Brotherhood. Everything was basically the same. The mechanics were the same. You had the hook blade, which was not really all that great. I guess you could zipline in the game if I remember correctly. I also think you could parachute also. I don't know if that was in Brotherhood or if it was in Revelations, but I do remember doing that somewhere. But yeah, I mean, Revelations, not my most favorite game. In fact, probably my least favorite of the series. It's just not that memorable. It's just nothing. I also forgot to mention this. In Brotherhood, they actually released the multiplayer for the first time, which was actually really cool. I actually like the multiplayer. It's one of the reasons why Brotherhood was actually my favorite, because it introduced the multiplayer for the first time. And it gets brought back in Revelations. I didn't really play it that much in Revelations. I didn't play it that much in 3 either. In fact, a year later, 2012, Assassin's Creed 3 gets announced. Now, it was sort of building. I kind of saw that this game was pretty anticipated by me because I thought it was going to be the one game that concluded the Assassin's Creed story. I mean, it actually concluded Desmond's story. It didn't conclude anything else other than that. I thought that it was a good idea on paper to have Connor and having his story with his father and, the Templar fights and everything like that. I thought that was cool, but I feel like, and I talked about this with Nesty Monster, with Greg also, and he agrees with me where they're shoving personal people, like, not personal people, they're shoving historical people down your throat. It's just like, oh, you're fighting Templars? Guess who's here? George Washington! Ayo! But it's like, why? Why are you doing that? The mechanics of the game, I'm actually referring to the frontier of nothingness. There is nothing in this game. There's the hunting. Why would I go hunting? You can upgrade Connor's weapons. Why? Because the combat is so simplistic, it's ridiculous. The one cool thing about the game, I thought that was the naval combat, and I was actually playing it, and I was like, they should make a game about this, and they do with the next installment. But earlier I talked about how a villain can make or break a game. I honestly think that the villain of Assassin's Creed 3 was good, but I think it was the wrong guy. I think it should have been somebody else. I'm not saying he's a bad villain. He didn't really... I mean, I actually hated the guy, so they got the reaction out of me that I wanted. I think that the game was really bogged down by the fact that Connor was the main protagonist. The fact that he was so bland, he was so boring, and everything that you do in the game is filled with a bunch of stuff that I just did not care about. It's like, you can upgrade the homestead. Why? Why would I do that? I have no interest in doing that. So, I mean, Assassin's Creed 3, again, one of my least favorite games, just simply because it actually changes things up with the new free running ability. But again, the free running is plagued by the same thing it's always been plagued by, where you'll jump into haystacks when you don't want to. You'll run up walls and like fall right back down. You'll do the running animation, he'll stop and then he'll fall right back down, and you're like, jump the over the thing. Again, the multiplayer was the multiplayer. There's really nothing to change there. I didn't really play it that much in Assassin's Creed 3. I didn't really like Assassin's Creed 3. I mean, I don't think it was the worst game. Actually, you know what? Honestly, it might have been the worst game. Now that I think about it, as I'm thinking about it, as I'm talking about this, I'm actually changing my mind. Like, I have like the list written down right here, and I have a number as to where I would rate worst to first. But it's like I'm changing it up as I'm talking about it, because I love the series. I love the game series, but things change, man, and these games have been struggling for the past few years, and it actually gets redeemed by Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, which honestly I had the most fun with. I really, really, really enjoy Assassin's Creed 4. I thought that Edward was a fantastic character. I don't think he was as good as Ezio, and his story and villain in Assassin's Creed 2 were absolutely amazing. The single player in Assassin's Creed 2 is, bar none, one of the best ones. But Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, I mean, I think the protagonist was good. I honestly think, once again, like Assassin's Creed 3, the main villain was the main villain, but I kind of forgot about the main villain halfway through the game. I was like, oh, this guy's still around. Oh, well, okay. There was another point in the game where something happens to Edward, and I'm like, that is the main villain. And then the game ends, and I'm like, okay, that wasn't the main villain, because that guy was gone way before the game ended. And I was like, oh, that's a missed opportunity. That guy should have been the main villain, not this guy. So it kind of was like, to me, I was like, well, missed opportunity there. But the game is focused around the naval combat that was so popular in Assassin's Creed 3, and I think it does it really well. Everything that's associated with, the free roaming in out in sea is pretty awesome. Like, there's so much more to do in Assassin's Creed 4 than there was to do in 3. Like I said, the frontier of nothingness. There's nothing to do in that game except for doing the main story, and then a naval combat that is so, 5 minutes or so long, and it's really not that great to just keep doing that. And there's nothing to do in that game other than the naval combat. There was nothing to look forward to. But Assassin's Creed 4 completely embraces it. I mean, you can go search for treasure. You can go look for these little Aztec or Mayan relics that you can go and unlock some stuff. You go do a little assassin missions that are sort of like assassin missions, but not really. One of the big things that I liked about Edward was that the fact that he wasn't an assassin for most of the game. Like, he would do things that would cross paths with Templars and Assassins, but he wasn't doing anything for any particular group. He was a pirate first. He focused mainly on fame and fortune. That's all he cared about. He was kind of like an arrogant, narcissistic dude, and I thought that was really cool. They added layers to the guy. And they even did that with some flashbacks into his past life, giving him a little bit of a backstory, which again added more layers to him and tried to cast a new light on the character. I thought that was pretty cool. Again, they still suffer from the same thing. Free running is not as smooth as it should be. Combat is really simplistic, despite the fact that they add 4 different enemy types to switch things up. Like, instead of countering everybody, now you have to break defense of this guy before you attack him. But again, it's like an I win button, pretty much. It's a different button every time, but there's still an I win button in every combat situation. There's no real reason to upgrade Connor. Whoa. There's no real reason to upgrade Edward's personal gear. I always try to add more guns. At most, you can have 4 guns at a time, and I try to always get that. But the thing that you're really going to focus on is pillaging ships so that you can upgrade your ships so you can actually go and do the campaign. Because you actually, and I played this game twice. I played it on the 360 and then I played it on the Xbox One, is that you're going to need to upgrade your ship if you want to continue in the main campaign. And if you want to go after all the achievements, like the legendary ships are not around. You will need to upgrade your ship in order to actually stand a chance against those guys. I thought that was cool. Like I said before, you can search for treasure, you can go do assassin missions, you can go do naval contracts, go after pillaged ships, go look for relics and things like that. The game is actually filled with a lot of stuff. You can go and get like shanty sheets so your crew will actually sing something different for once. Another thing, though, I mean, like that the game kind of suffers from is that whenever you're on land, whenever you're doing a main campaign on land, or even when you're doing a mission that's on land, you're either tailing somebody or trying to eavesdrop somebody as you tail them. It got old fast, and you know, one of the it doesn't really like. I'm not saying Assassin's Creed 4 is the best game. It still suffers from a couple of things. And that's why, I mean, I feel like it's the game that I have the most fun with, but in the big picture, I don't think it's the best Assassin's Creed game. I'm actually dragging on a little bit. Let me actually try to wrap this up and tell you which game, in my opinion, which one is the best or which one is the worst. So I'm going to go down, or actually I'm going to start from the bottom and I'm actually going to go up. Assassin's Creed 3, I think, is number 6. I think it's the worst one simply because it had a bland character. I think they had a missed opportunity with the main villain. There was nothing to do in the game, and one of the side features of the game was the main reason why you wanted to play it. Like, the naval combat is not the center of the game, and yet that's the thing you look forward to the most. One of the things that I didn't like about Assassin's Creed 3 that I didn't talk about when I was talking about Assassin's Creed 3 is that it took forever for the game to get going. Like, I had to go through all this backstory. It took me hours to get to that. So boring. All I wanted to do was play Connor as the assassin, and I was like, this guy is so boring, and it took me forever to get to that point. I'm like, he's still a kid, and I'm like, I'm not, it just was, you know, so head banging up against the wall. It wasn't a great game. Number 5 was Assassin's Creed Revelations because it's so forgettable. I mean, yeah, it wraps up the story of Ezio, it sort of wraps up the story of Altair, and it continues the story of Desmond. By the way, Desmond's story in Revelations, I honestly could have done without. I thought the ending for Desmond's story in Brotherhood was really shocking, really like jaw-dropping. It was awesome. And then they didn't do anything. Like, it was like a missed opportunity. I was like, there should be some backlash as to what the hell just happened at the end of Brotherhood. And there's nothing really. I mean, like, they sort of reference it, but there's nothing really there. And I don't know. It just was not that great. Revelations, honestly, forgettable. I mean, it's the same game as Have Been Happening, but it doesn't really add that much. It's not unique, in my opinion. So that was number 5. I would say number 4 would be Assassin's Creed 1, because Assassin's Creed 1 was fun when it came out. I mean, it just got outdated, but at the time it was pretty good. I mean, it got repetitive and it got linear, but it was still a fun game. I'm not going to deny that it wasn't a fun game. I would say Assassin's Creed 3. No, I'm sorry. Assassin's Creed number 3 is Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, because I did have fun with the game. It continued Ezio's story. It sort of wrapped up whatever was left behind by Assassin's Creed 2. Thought it added a really cool mechanic with its assassins actually being able to... I actually felt like a leader of the assassins when I was playing that game, which was really awesome. And, you know, it was a good story. I mean, it wasn't a bad story. I mean, it was shorter than Assassin's Creed 2, but it was still a good game. It also added in the multiplayer for the first time, which was good, so I definitely see Assassin's Creed Brotherhood being number 3. Number 2, I'm going to go ahead and say Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag is number 2, because I've had so much fun with the game, but there's so many little things that I can just nitpick about and sort of just take the game apart. It's still a good game. It adds some things with the multiplayer, like it adds in the ability to actually create custom game types, which is pretty cool. I mean, it's getting people to be creative. There's more replayability there. There's always something new to be had. It also adds in a co-op mode, which honestly, the co-op mode in Assassin's Creed 4, the only reason why you would ever want to play it is simply to grind out levels, because that's the best way of getting XP. But Assassin's Creed 4, it knows what it is. It's a pirate game, and it's fun for what it does. When you're out in the sea and you're sailing around in your ship and you're pillaging anything that may dare cross your path, that's so much fun. And then number 1, I would say Assassin's Creed 2, because the story, the villain, the mechanics, everything was improved since Assassin's Creed 1. It is so good. I think the story of it is awesome. Again, present day timeline is okay. I mean, it's sort of good, but I don't really care for it. The game is just downright awesome. Like I said before, it improves everything from since Assassin's Creed 1. It has a great story, huge, awesome character development with Ezio. I thought the villain was fantastic. The climax of the story was fantastic. It continues to the story just like you think it would. I really, really, really enjoyed Assassin's Creed 2. I really can't think of any negatives. I mean, other than the free running and the combat, but those are things that have plagued the Assassin's Creed series throughout, so I can't really say it's better or worse than anything else. But I really did enjoy that, so that's my opinion on the Assassin's Creed series. It's one of my most favorite gaming series out there, one of my most favorite franchises. I'm really looking forward to what they do in the future, but honestly, I think that they should abandon the present-day timeline and just have the game solely in historical settings. Don't have the games linked to anything else. Like, take the premise of Templars and Assassins, that's cool, and every different game have a different story like they have been doing, like Connor's story, Ezio's story, Altair's story, Edward's story. We just want to see something different, and I don't want to see the present-day timeline. I think that the next game, they should just wrap it up. Also, don't rush the game, you know, take some time to polish it up, you know, make something different in it. I think that their development of coming out annually, just look at the difference between Assassin's Creed 1 and 2. That was 2 years. It's awesome. But again, it's still a good series. I know it's been getting a lot of hate. That's only because of the fact that the recent games that have been coming out haven't been all that great, and Assassin's Creed 4 is better, but isn't flawless. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys next week.